My kids were in first and third grade, and we were having issues with bullying. But we weren't sure if Anthony, who was in first grade, was old enough to really benefit from what was being taught. A few months after we started training, I heard that their neighborhood bully wanted him to apologize for something. So when I went out to investigate, it turned out that she had tried to twist his arm and get him to play a game she wanted to play. He didn't want to play her game. Now, he was probably 65 pounds. She was probably about 110. As it turned out, Sensei Bob had just taught Anthony what to do if somebody tries to twist your arm. When I asked him what had happened, he said, all I did was break the hold she tried to put on my arm, and he didn't feel threatened. He wasn't bullied, and nobody got hurt. That's kind of the outcome we expected from karate. But as the years went on, Anthony moved from being able to protect himself from bullying to protecting other people. He's had people try to fight him, and again, nobody got hurt. He didn't get hurt. The other person didn't get hurt, even though by that time he probably could have hurt somebody if he wanted to. One of our neighborhood bullies, who had been shut out of his school because the schools were closed, came around and said he was sick and started coughing on Anthony's little brother. Anthony jumped in front of Jonathan and pushed that kid back without hurting him and kept him back and sent Jonathan in the house. His brother has a medical condition that made a threat of COVID infection very frightening to both of them. Anthony could have been mad, but he didn't take it any further than that. All he did was make sure that his brother was safe. That kind of self-control and the awareness of how much force is needed was something I sort of expected, but I was so pleased to see that he had learned that kind of control. But again, that's sort of just the next level of what we were looking for in karate. We were happy and not quite surprised, but very gratified. Now, the things that did surprise me about my kids' involvement in karate was the courage and grit that they have all three developed as they trained with Sensei Bob. A few years ago, Christopher, my oldest one, was testing for his brown belt. And part of that test is fighting for an extended amount of time, mostly with people who are bigger, stronger, and more highly skilled than you, and making it to the end without giving up. Strangely enough, having talked to him beforehand, I knew he was ready. I knew he could quit anytime he wanted. But I remember watching Christopher in the ring with mostly brown and black belt, most of them adults. He was only 14 or 15. I think he'd just turned 15. They hit him again and again, and there was a moment when a black belt hit him hard and took him down, and you know the face somebody makes when the wind is knocked out of him. He just looked, for a fraction of a second, he just looked lost. And then his face changed, and he roared and leaped back up to his feet and came back at that guy. And just the raw courage that has been developed through this practice of karate is something I didn't expect, and I'm so thankful for. Another part of that brown belt test was they typically will break wood, or if they're more advanced, they'll break pieces of concrete, like slabs of cement. And Christopher he was average size for his age. He wasn't a big guy. I remember Sensei Bob telling me, Christopher's gonna break one slab of cement with his foot. Based on his weight and his body mass, I think it'll be kind of challenging for him. Christopher was shown what he was supposed to break to qualify for brown, and then everybody took a break, and he watched it. He sat and he looked at the cement for maybe half an hour before it was time to line up and do it. When you break, and I've hurt myself trying to break things before, a big part of it is showing that you've trained so that you're strong enough and you can control yourself enough to use the force that you've been taught to use. But another big part of it is getting past the fear of hurting yourself. If you don't hit hard enough, if you do it wrong, you can get hurt. And I have hurt myself trying to break things that I wasn't prepared for. This was something Christopher wasn't sure he could do. He walked up to the slab, and then I saw Sensei Bob come up to him, hold on a minute, and he put another one down. 2 cement slabs. And Christopher looked at Sensei. He said, "Os." He broke it. I have a picture of him with the 2 cement slabs falling apart under his foot. Now we know what he can do, and he knows what he can do. As a mom, I get to train with my kids. I'm also their teacher, and it's probably good for them to be better at me than something. I'm not very fast. I'm not very strong. I'm not very tough. I have a trouble remembering all the katas. They have the chance to teach me things, and occasionally they'll laugh at me when we're trying to do burpees together. And, I don't mind because I learn a lot too. Even though you could look at me compared to my boys and say, she's not any good. She doesn't even look like she's trying. I've learned so much about how to handle myself in a conflict situation. A couple years after I started training with the kids, we had a situation in our neighborhood where someone was approaching small children and trying to rob their houses, using the children to get into the house. And there was a time when we were leaving our house and someone approached my child. In the fraction of a second it took for me to notice that that was happening, I moved forward and I was ready to fight that guy. And before training and practicing how to hit, I didn't know how to make a fist. I didn't know what to do. I would have frozen. And as it turned out, the guy was not the burglar. And luckily I recognized him before I actually hit him. Realizing that before training, I would not have known how to handle a dangerous situation. Even though I'm not going to be a high-ranked person in the dojo, I've still learned a lot by being exposed to the disciplines and the skills that are here in karate.